Hello! Oh, I still have Scarlet Hollow camera mode on, but I set it up now so I can just kind of go like boop and boop. And oh, I'm a little over to the side, but that's fine. I can fix that. Boop. Looks good enough, I think. Good. Forgot to turn on the light. Alright. Oh, hello, Johnny. I think we are good to get started, and I'm excited. I know I've been like missing a lot of sessions and of this for various reasons, but back on track and finally into the actual new content of the route with Chapter 3, the official beginning of the Waltz's route. Alright, let's do the thing. Ah, no. What? That went by so fast! Okay, Chapter 3, Peter Pan. I decide that I cannot waste any more time. The next day, I search for Waltz as soon as the broom stops dragging me around. Lucette, thinking to herself. I swear he was just here a while ago. Out loud. Annis, have you seen Waltz? Annis. Oh, I just saw him walk back inside. I find him talking with Parfait and Delora in the reception area. All of them are speaking in solemn whispers. As soon as Parfait and Delora notice me, they break off their conversation with Waltz. Both the witch and the fairy step away from Waltz. Parfait. Excuse us, princess. I watch curiously as Delora and Parfait leave the room without another word to me. Lucette, thinking to herself. What were they talking about? Waltz turns in my direction and smiles. Waltz. Morning, princess. I turn toward Waltz and watch as he begins to put some puppets on the table into a box. Oh, hang on one sec. I forgot about the closed captions. So, just pulling those up real quick. Alright, should be good now. I turn towards Waltz and watch as he begins to put some puppets on the table into a box. Lucette. Are these toys yours? Waltz. These? They're for a show I'm doing later. I wouldn't be playing with these things at my age. Lucette. You look 12. I do not see how that is too old to be playing with dolls. Waltz. Silence. I told you before, didn't I? I have the Neverland curse. Lucette, thinking to herself. He never explained what his curse was. Out loud. No, sorry, Waltz. I'm actually older than you are. Lucette. I find that hard to believe. Waltz. You don't know the story of Peter Pan, do you? Lucette. Silence. Thinking to herself. It is not my... Oh, sorry. Trying to move something. It is not my fault that Mother had all the fairy tales removed from the palace. When I do not answer, Waltz only sighs and gives me a small smile. Waltz. I'll assume that's a yes. Peter Pan is a boy who lives in Neverland. It's a place where no one ever grows up. I'm stuck in a child's body as a result of my curse. I won't revert to my real form until my curse is broken. Lucette. Then how old are you really? Waltz. I'm 22 this year. Lucette. What? I can only stare in shock at Waltz's childish appearance. It is hard to believe that he is actually older than I am. Waltz. I've never liked being treated as a child. That's never changed. Even when I was a child, I didn't like it. But let me assure you that it is much more annoying being treated like a child by someone who's younger than you. Waltz straightens with the box in his arms. Waltz. Now, if my princess will excuse me. He turns to leave. Lucette. Where are you going? Waltz. I have a show to do today. Lucette, thinking to herself. Waltz does so many puppet and magic shows. How will he help me break my curse if he is never around? Out loud. I'll go with you. Waltz. What? Lucette. I might accomplish a good deed if I come to one of your shows. Waltz. That's true, but... Waltz sighs. I'm not sure it's a good idea. There are bad witches out there. Lucette. This is a good comeback, not gonna lie. Lucette. Oh, there is an evil witch right here in the March Hen, but no one is protecting me from her. Waltz. Are you talking about Delora? Lucette. Who else would I be referring to? Waltz stares at me for a long moment, eyes thoughtful. He sets the box down on the table again. Waltz. Don't go anywhere. I'll ask Lady Parfait first. He leaves the room. I lean over the box on the table and see a pile of carefully detailed puppets. Everything looks handmade. Lucette, thinking to herself. I used to sew my own puppets before Mother found out and forbade me from making them. She told me that sewing was not something a crown princess should do. Waltz. Interested? Lucette, shocked. Waltz's footsteps are so soft that I do not even notice that he has returned to the room until I see him standing before me. I step away from the box. Lucette, thinking to herself. How does he move so quietly? Waltz. Permission granted. Come on, the show starts in an hour. I watch as Waltz sets up a small booth on the street where I'd first seen him with Emmeline. Lucette, thinking to herself. Back then, I never thought I would see him again. Waltz. It's nice to see you actively trying to break your curse. I shrug. Lucette. I am not convinced this will work, but Parfait said that if I partnered up with someone, I might be able to break my curse faster. Waltz. So, you choose to partner with me? Actually, okay, his tone of voice startles me. He sounds both happy and sad. Let me see if I can try and get that into the voice acting. So, you chose to partner with me? Did my best. His tone of voice startles me. He sounds both happy and sad. Lucette, thinking to herself. Was he lying when he said he wanted to help me? That everyone in the March Hen was willing to help me? Out loud. Would you rather I pick someone else? Waltz. No! Lucette, shocked. I jump at his sudden reaction. Waltz awkwardly clears his voice. Waltz. No, I'll do everything I can to help you. Waltz heads for the back of the booth. I begin to follow him, but I am forced to stop when he holds out his hand. Waltz. You haven't had enough training to be my personal assistant yet, princess. Lucette. What? I stare at him, puzzled. Lucette. I never said I wanted to be your personal assistant. Thinking to herself. And training? Why would one need training to assist with a children's show? Ah! Sorry. Went to pick up my water bottle, but the lid was not firmly attached, so let me try that again. Waltz. You might just be able to snag a good deed if you agreed to become my assistant, you know? Lucette. Silence. There is a teasing twinkle in Waltz's eyes as he waves me off. Waltz. But until you're ready, you should stay with the children and just watch the show. I think you'll enjoy this story. I recommend getting a place up front. You'll be able to see all the action that way. Lucette. Silence. When I do not move, Waltz sighs and smiles at me. Waltz. I promise the children won't bite unless you bite them first. Lucette. Silence. Fun. Waltz. That's my star. Lucette, thinking to herself. Star? He disappears around the back, leaving me alone. In no time at all, people begin to gather. Soon, there is an impressive audience around Waltz's small booth. I'm gonna just say right now, my theory is that Waltz and Lucette were childhood friends, and then Lucette's mother erased all of her memories of his existence. That's my guess. But that theory we've had where the person who left her birthday card with the M on it, and we've been theorizing that it was actually a W, and it was Waltz that was doing that. That actually makes sense if we assume that he still really cares about Lucette, but he knows that her memory has been wiped. And then let me think. And then he wouldn't be able to get close to her again and then she'd still remember that because Hildir didn't know about it, presumably. And then I don't know, that's my theory. And also because she didn't realize it was connected to him. And then the reason Waltz wouldn't have gotten back in touch with her after Hildir passed away or disappeared makes sense because he probably wasn't sure how to approach her in the child's body form. Anyway, that's just all my theorizing. I look at the group of children that are clustered as close as possible to the front. They are all clearly excited for the show to start. I used to do puppet shows with my dolls, too. I felt less alone when I pretended my dolls could talk. Lucette, thinking to herself. And I am still alone. Nothing has changed. I sigh as I sidestep to allow someone else to stand beside me. I'm surprised to see that the person is an adult. I look out at the gathering crowd of people and find that there is an almost equal ratio of children and adults. Lucette, thinking to herself. Why would adults be at something as childish as a puppet show? Waltz. Hello, everyone! An excited silence falls over the area as Waltz's voice rises above the crowd. Waltz. I, Waltz, am here once again to share another story with you. I hope you enjoy the show. Once upon a time, there was a village whose people were always happy. But one day, an evil witch found the village. The evil witch carried darkness deep in her heart. She was jealous of the townsfolk, who were filled with so much light and happiness. If I cannot be happy, the evil witch said, then no one can be happy. Lucette, thinking to herself. How overly dramatic. I almost jump when I feel a tug on my dress. I look down to see a little boy pulling at the hem of my skirt, though his eyes remain focused on the puppets. Boy. I don't like her. That witch. She's bad. His grip on my skirt tightens. Okay. Here is our first official choice of Waltz's route. Oh, Johnny, they call that combo a sidestep. Oh, oh, sorry, I missed your pun a bit ago. Alright, so, I am pretty confident that not worrying about the child grabbing her dress is probably the right call. Lucette thinks to herself, he is wrinkling my dress. But I'm going to choose to leave him alone. Lucette, silence, thinking to herself, Waltz better finish his show before this child ruins my dress. Waltz. Darkness spread over the village. The people began to suffer. They forgot what happiness felt like. One villager decided to leave and find a good witch that would help save everyone from the evil witch. This villager knew it would be very dangerous. Okay, I also just want to pause here and be like, I am really, really happy. I was a little worried when his story was all like, yes, there was an evil witch. And I'm like, surely, Waltz, you, a not evil witch, would not be forwarding the stories that made everyone think witches were bad. But actually, I love this, that he has the evil witch and then a good witch to fight the evil witch. That's like, does a good job of trying to establish to people that there can be, like, good witches as well as bad witches, so that's probably just generally a good thing to be trying to get into the populace's minds. Anyway, Waltz. This villager knew that it would be very dangerous. for if he were discovered, the evil witch would certainly kill him and his family. But the man knew he had to try if he ever wanted to see the other villagers smile again. Many days later, the man finally returned with a good witch whose heart was as filled with light as the evil witch's was filled with darkness. The good witch, unable to bear the sight of the villagers' suffering, decided to help them. She cast a powerful spell that would send the evil witch away and save the village at the cost of her own life. Once the spell was cast, the darkness disappeared from the village. To this day, the people of the village are said to carry the good witch's light within them, and everyone lived happily ever after. Johnny, of course you fight a bad witch with a good witch. Like Uncle says, magic must defeat magic. Yes, nice. Nice reference. Anyway, boy. But aren't all witches evil? Waltz. That's simply not true. I've met a good witch, one with a heart more light and loving than any fairies. More of the children begin to ask questions. I sigh, unable to do anything except wait while Waltz is bombarded with questions. Once the audience finally leaves, Waltz comes out from behind the booth and smiles up at me. Waltz. The show was a success! Lucette. I suppose so. Waltz. You looked really annoyed when that little boy grabbed your dress. Lucette. That's because I was. Oh no! Okay, thanks Waltz for explaining. Okay, here's the thing. I thought removing his hand would have been, but then if she removed his hand, maybe he would have just grabbed her hand. But how was I supposed to know that? Hello, T'Pau. Anyway, Waltz, you should have taken his hand. Lucette, why? Waltz, he looked frightened. I'm sure he would have appreciated some comfort. Lucette, what? Waltz, sometimes just having someone beside you when you're afraid is enough. Lucette, thinking to herself, having someone beside you? I think back, okay, yeah, no, he straight up, okay. So, Lucette decided to accompany Waltz to one of his puppet shows, and he told a little story about how a bad witch was terrorizing a town, and a villager went to find a good witch who fought the bad witch, which also led to some good conversations, like a kid being like, but aren't all witches bad? And Waltz is like, no, in fact. So I appreciate that he's like out here, and he's like, they've established that he's pretty popular, and his show was attended by children and adults alike, so he's out here changing the populace's minds. Good for him. Anyway, that said, it looks like I made a wrong choice. So Waltz had Lucette watch the show. Oh, shoot. Sorry, I meant to load, and I just, saved over it, so I'll just do boop, and then we'll just skip to the next choice. Bam. So, during the show, there was a little kid who got freaked out and grabbed Lucette's skirt. I thought, and so my choices were to leave him alone or remove his hand. Now, I thought that removing his hand was the ruder thing to do, but then Waltz comes in all like, you should have taken the kid's hand, and I'm like, how was I supposed to know that trying to remove his hand would probably lead to her, like, holding his hand? So, I'm slightly annoyed at that choice. But we're gonna try the other one, because I think this one was probably the correct. I reach down to pry the boy's hand off of my skirt, but the boy moves faster than me. The moment I pull his hand away, he quickly refastens his grip, this time around my hand. Yeah, see, how was I supposed to know that the little kid, her trying to remove the kid's hand would mean that the kid would grab her hand and that was the right answer? Ugh. I mean... Wait. Is that... Yes, okay. Sorry. Just was, like, having a moment where I'm, like, double checking that the sound is actually... The desktop sound is actually working. Should be. But yeah, so I'm like, this is clearly, so this means that she is now holding this little kid's hand, and that's specifically, I do appreciate that at least once, like, she talks to Waltz after the fact, he's like, you should have taken that little kid's hand, and I'm like, okay, I see how that choice was, I see what they're saying about that choice now. So yes, that also, what I was pausing. The other reason I was pausing to talk here was because advertisements and just waiting for them to pass, so T'Pau can watch again. Alright, I'm assuming the advertisements are probably back. Yes, okay, so yeah, no, so I went back to redo this choice because I don't know if you caught, but there was like a little kid who grabbed her skirt while listening to the story because he was kind of freaked out. And after the show, and I chose to... Here, let me... No, I can't go back. Okay, so I chose to leave the kid alone, but then after the show, Waltz is like, you should have taken that little kid's hand. And I'm like, okay, so I guess the option to remove his hand meant that holding his hand. And I'm like, how was I supposed to know that? Sorry for repeating myself, I just wanted T'Pau to actually hear me. And so either way, at least Waltz called out the correct choice. So once he said that, I'm like, oh, trying to remove his hand, he must have grabbed her hand. So I went back to the choice, and that seems to be exactly what has happened. The moment I pull his hand away, he quickly refastens his grip, this time around my hand. Lucette, shocked. Hey. The boy does not move his hand. In fact, his hold only tightens, so much so that I find it impossible to pull my hand away. Lucette thinking to herself. Yeah, Johnny, some old point-and-click adventure game level of logic. It was just not a very straightforward choice, but that's what the right choice indicator is there for. Anyway, Lucette thinking to herself. There is no way I can make him let go without causing a scene. Now I am going to be stuck holding the hand of a little boy I do not know until the end of the show. Silence. How did this happen? Anyway, since T'Pau missed it, I'll just... Actually, no. I don't want to go through... I explained the story. The story's pretty straightforward. There was witch came and cursed the village. Good witch came and sacrificed herself to defeat the bad witch. The people of the village remember her forever after. So we'll skip ahead, and then actually let's just do the skip because then it will skip. Okay, so end of the story, and now we're back to where things change. Boy. Thank you! Lucette, shocked. The boy that took my hand gives it one last squeeze before running off to join his friends. Lucette, silence. Thinking to herself, what did he thank me for? Once the audience finally leaves, Waltz comes out from behind the booth and smiles up at me. Waltz, the show is a success! Lucette, silence. Waltz, princess? Lucette, there was a boy. He thanked me even though I did nothing for him. Waltz, the little boy who was with you? But you did do something. You held his hand. Lucette, I did not want to. Waltz, I realized that when I saw the annoyed look on your face. It would have been good of you to do if you'd meant to calm him down. Lucette, what? Waltz, that boy was really frightened by the evil witch in the show. He thanked you because you held his hand and stayed with him when he was scared. Sometimes just having someone beside you when you're afraid is enough. Lucette thinking to herself. Having someone beside you? I think back on all the times I felt scared. Mother always told me to hide my fear and to never cry because it made me appear weak. Yes, of course she did, Lucette, because your mother was emotionally abusive. I could never ask for her help, and the king was never there for me. Every time I was afraid, I was always alone. I shake off the memories and realize that Waltz is asking me a question. Waltz, what did you think of the show? Lucette, It was short and simple. Waltz. That's it? I created that entire show, you know? Story, characters, everything. Lucette. It could have been better. Waltz. You wound me. I have nothing more to say, and Waltz seems disheartened by my silence. Waltz. You always complimented my stories, even when they were silly. Yes. Oh, and also to how you missed my theorizing, which is that she and Waltz were close childhood friends, and then her mother wiped all of her memories of him, like, thoroughly and completely. And so, like, Waltz really misses her as his super close childhood friend, but she doesn't remember that he ever even existed. And that's why he keeps being, like, sad when he's talking to her. Lucette thinking to herself. Yeah, exactly, to Pao, and, like, the W is M for the, and I was also saying, probably the reason she remembers those cards and the birthday stuff is because, so obviously, you know, if Hildir wiped her entire memory to keep her away from him, he would have had to avoid her, at least while her mother was around, and so that would be why he did the secret birthday cards. And now that I'm repeating that, I'm realizing probably those happened after the mind erase, and that's why she thought they were from her mother. Because she just didn't remember that there was another person they could have been from. But then, and my guess for why he didn't approach her after her mother was gone is because he wasn't sure how to do so with the curse. But I guess we'll probably hopefully find that out. Anyway, Lucette thinking to herself. Waltz telling me stories? I do not recall such a thing. He makes it sound as if we've known each other for a long time. Before I can ask him for clarification, he changes the topic. Waltz. Do you mind accompanying me to the toy shop before we head back? Lucette. Do I have a choice? Waltz's lips quirk with a smile as he picks up his materials. Waltz. You might have fun, princess. Come on. Lucette thinking to herself. This is the shop I went to before I was cursed. Waltz. Feel free to look around, princess. I won't be too long. I nod at him before walking over to the doll display. Lucette thinking to herself. The dolls here are actually beautiful. But with the gold I have left, I wouldn't be able to afford even one. I miss my dolls. Girl. Papa, I want that one! The sound of a little girl's voice draws my attention. I look around the store before spotting a little girl pointing at a big teddy bear. She looks expectantly at the man beside her. Lucette thinking to herself. That must be her father. The man shakes his head, his eyes filled with regret. Man, we can't afford that one, dear. Could you choose something else? The girl looks like she is on the verge of bawling. I back away, fearing that the child might throw a tantrum. Instead, she rubs at her eyes before looking up at her father with a slow smile. Girl. I understand. The man smiles and pats her head. Man. Thank you for understanding, sweetheart. You're being so grown up. Girl. I only need you and Mama to be happy. I love you, Papa. Man. I love you too. Lucette. Silence. Lucette thinking to herself. Damn! Sorry, I'm just like, damn, Gennaro, get with it. Be a better father to this girl. Lucette thinking to herself. The king has never once told me that he loved me. Gennaro, come on! Oh, wow. Her memory threw a null pointer exception. Memories of him gone. Yeah, back on the thing with Waltz, but Jesus. King Gennaro never once told Lucette that he loved her? Even after her mother was gone? Damn, dude. Not even trying. Like, I know I have complained about how it seems like he didn't even try, but like, yeah, now I'm like, no, really. Dude barely tried, if at all. Like, basically gave up. Like, how about instead of giving up on communicating with your daughter, you at least freaking tell her that you love her? Jeez, buddy. Anyway, Lucette, continuing to think to herself, he must be better off without me. Do I even belong in the palace anymore? Girl. Papa, look! The king! Lucette, shocked. The moment I hear her say his title, I quickly rush from the toy shop. How? Okay, fair. Like, maybe that could be her mom might have erased any memories that she would have had of her father showing her affection. But, like... And then he was not thinking she wanted that once her mother was gone, and it's like... Yeah, but... that doesn't mean, like, he doesn't... And although you're actually making a good point of how, it is one can assume that he did not actually want to be with Lucette's mother or have a child with her, so to an extent Lucette was a trauma reminder for her, but we've also seen from other routes that, like, she's still his daughter and he still loved her, and, like, trauma aside, like, the degree to which he didn't even try to be there for his child, even once her terrible mother was gone. Like, I get it while her mother was alive, because her mother almost certainly would have kept her far away from her father, and also, as you say, just straight up erased any memories she had of him being nice to her. But, like, there was 4 years after her mother passed away, and there is an extent to which... Okay, fair to Pout, like, he is basically a walking trauma response, but, like, it's just frustrating that over the course of 4 years, he just gave up and didn't even try. And like you say, like, you doubt that he's very functional, but like, we saw him at the beginning of the game with Ophelia and Ophelia's kids, and he's clearly in a better place now, even if he was just fucking wrecked after her, like, and a walking mess of trauma, and, like, not able to be there for her right after her mother was gone. It's been 4 years! Like, and dude we saw him near the beginning. Like, yeah, no, and I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying to Pow. Like, the more of these we see, the more he sort of can't, the more you think that he sort of can't be expected much of. Yeah, no, and I mean, you're absolutely fair, but basically that's what I'm, like, complaining about. Like, we can't like, we've seen that we can't expect much of him. There's only one route so far where I've really been like, yeah, Gennaro stepped up, and the rest he's just been really wishy-washy, and he's just not been a good father to her, like, even a little. Like, and it just feels like, like I said, it feels like he hasn't tried to be a good father to her, and that's really what frustrates me. And it's so yes, you're right. There's no reason to expect that he would have been, because we know long since that he just straight wasn't, and like, you know, there's this game has established from many story routes that there is not room to expect much from him, but that doesn't mean I can't still be disappointed in him. And I think that's what I'm saying. So, but yeah, I'm gonna stop complaining and get back to the game. Man A. Hail the king! Woman A. Long live the king! Woman B. Hail King Gennaro! He is the first one I see, mounted on his favorite white stallion as he waves at everyone. I spot Ophelia, Rod, and Emmeline with him, mimicking his motions. The king used to invite me to join him before, but I always declined. He always went out alone. Once a month, the king sets out to check on the conditions of the kingdom in person. It is his way of bonding with the townsfolk. The Order of Caldera trails behind the royal family with Sir Alcastor at the head, but there is one particular person that is missing. Lucette, thinking to herself. It is strange that Fritz isn't here. The parade is an impressive sight. The crowds lining the streets become denser with each passing second. I weave around the mess of people in an attempt to get closer to the king. King Gennaro. Thank you, everyone! Lucette, thinking to herself. He is smiling. A true smile. I have never seen him smile like that at me. A heaviness begins to weigh down on my heart. Suddenly, it becomes harder to breathe. Lucette, thinking to herself. Please, look this way. Please look at me. Woman. The king is looking happier these days, isn't he? Man. I don't think I've ever seen him so joyful. It must be his family. Lucette, thinking to herself. Happier? All I want is for the king to look at me, to see me, but he does not so much as glance my way once. I stare at the ground with bleary eyes. Lucette, thinking to herself. He's happy without me. I return to the toy shop with a heavy heart. The little girl from earlier is standing with her father by the door. He ruffles her hair before holding his hand out to her with a smile. She takes it with a giggle, and the two walk off together. A hot ache sings through my blood as I watch them leave. Lucette, thinking to herself. Is this jealousy? I reach up and clutch at my chest. My heartbeats feel painful. Lucette, thinking to herself. This is a terrible feeling. Waltz. Princess? Lucette. Silence. Waltz. Lucette? Lucette, shocked. I stare at Waltz, temporarily stunned by the fact that he called me by my name and not my title. Waltz. Are you okay? Despite myself, I find my eyes drawn back to the little girl and her father as they stand just outside the door to the toy shop. Lucette. Silence. Waltz. Princess? Alright, I think that the correct choice here is going to be for her to communicate, because communication is always should always be a good choice. And therefore, I'm going to have her say, I am not okay. Lucette. It's not like there is anything you can do to make me feel better. Waltz's expression slips. His chest heaves with a silent sigh. Waltz. All I can do right now is try. Oh, actually, that should have been a whisper. All I can do right now is try. Waltz's voice is a soft whisper, but I still pick up his words. Lucette, thinking to herself. All he can do right now? What is he talking about? Waltz's gaze moves to the set of teddy bears displayed on one of the shelves. He is quiet for a few moments before he speaks. Waltz. He's affected by the curse. Lucette. What? Waltz. The king. He can't remember you because of the curse. That doesn't mean he never cared about you. That's the reason you looked so down, right? I was looking outside. I saw the way you looked at him. Lucette, thinking to herself. Doesn't he know that it's rude to stare? Out loud. Oh, and how did I look? Waltz. Hurt. I turn away before Waltz can see the frustration on my face. You know what, I think maybe I did pick the wrong choice, because although I thought it was, like, communicating her feelings, the way she initially responded there, like, not like you could do, you know, I am not okay. I didn't expect I'm not okay to translate to, not like there's anything you can do to help. So I'm wondering if actually the correct answer was to choose I'm fine, but I'll keep going a little bit, then I'll go back. But then again, Tipao has a ad, so I will wait just a minute. One second. Okay, cool. Tipao is back. Hooray! Alright. Waltz. He loves you, you know? Oh, right, I was gonna go back. Well, I'll go a little further in this conversation. First, just in case. Waltz. He loves you, you know? More than you'll ever know. Lucette. And how would you know that? You don't know him at all. Waltz. Everyone has their own ways of expressing their love. I'm sure he has his own ways. Lucette. By not being there when I needed him, he has never acted like a father to me. Waltz. Princess. Lucette. Don't pretend to know what my life at the palace was like, Waltz. This conversation is over. Let us return to the Marchen. Yeah, that was definitely the wrong choice. Oh, that's rough, buddy. Like, for Waltz, because I'm like, he definitely knows what her, like, he definitely lived at the palace and knows very much what her life at the palace was like. And she just doesn't know that, so this has gotta be painful for him. Like, that very much explains why when she was like, I have decided to partner up with you, and he's like, oh, okay. And he sounded both happy and sad. Yeah, no, he's got a lot of conflicted feelings about this. They must have been really close. So yeah, apparently the right answer was for her to lie and say that she's fine, but I mean, I guess that might be the right answer in that that's what Lucette is more likely to do at this stage. So yes, Lucette says, I am fine. And Waltz responds, you don't look fine to me at all. Out of the corner of my eye, I see the little girl and her father as they disappear into the crowd outside the toy shop. Lucette, I am. Waltz, you still act tough, even though you're hurting inside. Lucette, I am not. Waltz, here. Wow. Okay, so I guess I guess, you know what, I'm gonna go with it must be because it's much more like her to pretend she's fine. But yeah, Johnny, you're not wrong. Again, that backwards game logic. Lucette, what is this for? Waltz, in case you suddenly feel like crying. Lucette, I am not going to cry. I am not that weak. Waltz frowns when I do not take the handkerchief from him. He puts it back in his pocket with a shake of his head. Waltz. Okay, and I guess it also gives Waltz the opportunity to say this, which he is absolutely right about. Waltz. Crying doesn't make you weak, princess. Lucette. Silence. Waltz's gaze moves to the set of teddy bears displayed on one of the shelves. He is quiet for a few moments before he speaks. Waltz. He's affected by the curse. Lucette. What? Waltz. The king. He can't remember you because of the curse. That doesn't mean he never cared about you. That's the reason you looked so down, right? I was looking outside. I saw the way you looked at him. So yes, pausing very briefly, I am going to just go back through this conversation to keep the pace of the game. And because I want to go through it more smoothly. Lucette, thinking to herself. Doesn't he know that it's rude to stare? Out loud. Oh, and how did I look? Waltz. Hurt. I turn away before Waltz can see the frustration on my face. Waltz. He loves you, you know? More than you'll ever know. Lucette. And how would you know that? You don't know him at all. Waltz. Everyone has their own ways of expressing their love. I'm sure he has his own ways. Lucette. By not being there when I needed him, he has never acted like a father to me. Waltz. Princess. Lucette. Don't pretend to know what my life at the palace was like, Waltz. This conversation is over. Let us return to the Marchen. Waltz. Silence. Alright, well, she seems to have unlocked a memory at least. So I anticipate that this is going to be, I mean, this is a memory. Usually her unlocked memories are about her mother doing something awful. I'm guessing this is going to be one of the ones where she's like, I'm imagining us as a happy family, and her mother's like, nope, I am the only one who will ever love you, your dad sucks. That's what I think is about to happen. Let's see. Young Lucette. Look at what I drew! Oh, interesting. I didn't expect this to be with her father. Anyway, King Gennaro. Lucette, You know you're not meant to be in here. Young Lucette.
But I drew this picture of us. See? That is Mother and me. And you are holding Mother's hand.
King Gennaro. Go play somewhere else, Lucette. I'm busy.
Young Lucette. But you are always busy, Father. I just want to...
King Gennaro. Go to your mother. I'm sure she's looking for you. Young Lucette. Silence.
Okay.
And, I mean, maybe that's because he was worried. The one thing I will grant King Gennaro from that memory is that he may legitimately have been worried about how her mother would retaliate if she found Lucette talking to him. But, yeah, nah, that's fucking rough. I am vaguely aware of moonlight in my room when I sit up in my bed, heart beating painfully fast. Lucette thinking to herself, what was I dreaming about? It felt like I was dreaming about the king, but why now? A few days have already passed since I saw him. I fall back onto the bed. I close my eyes and once again attempt sleep, but it hovers stubbornly out of my reach. Lucette, shocked, thinking to herself, what was that? Who could be making that noise at this time of night? I step out of my bed and head outside to investigate. Lucette thinking to herself, there is no one here. The sound, it's coming from the tavern. Okay, I know I have been 0 for 2 with choice guessing so far, but I can't handle it if the answer is to not check. She got all the way out of bed to go check what the heckin' noise was. I'm gonna have her check what the heckin' noise was. So, Lucette thinking to herself, it's coming from the tavern. I slowly turn the knob and open the door. Lucette, hello? The broom begins to hop towards me. Lucette, shocked. I begin to back away. Lucette thinking to herself, it's the middle of the night. There is no way I am going to sweep now. But the broom just hops past to cower behind me. Waltz, that's some broom you've got there. Lucette, Waltz, what are you doing here? Waltz, I couldn't sleep, so I continued working on some of my... I couldn't sleep, so I decided to continue working on some of my puppets. But I accidentally stepped on the broom, and it went berserk. Lucette, silence. I kind of love that the broom hid behind her. Sad broom is sad indeed to pow. Again, the context of Mr. Broom is a problem, but Mr. Broom itself is way too freaking cute. It's a bad combo, honestly, but I cannot help but find the broom cute even when it is kind of horrible. I turn around and grab Mr. Broom, leaning it against its designated spot on the wall. Waltz, but why are you in here? Lucette, I heard a sound. Waltz, as curious as always. That's going to get you into trouble, you know? Well, at least I got one choice right. I am 1 for 3 in guessing right the first time. Lucette, I don't need to be lectured by you. Waltz, silence. I apologize for waking you up. You should go back to sleep. Lucette, I would not be here if I could sleep. I might as well stay for a while. Waltz, if that's what you want. Waltz turns back to his puppets on the table. He leans down over the puppets, checking their seams. Waltz, since you're here, I think you can help me. Lucette, help you? Oh, it's a cute little lizard. Waltz, what do you think of my newest puppet? I look at Waltz with surprise, with his eyes so wide and his lower lip jutting out. Oh, what do you think of my new puppet? He's literally giving her puppy dog eyes. With his eyes so wide and his lower lip jutting out, he looks almost like a puppy begging for a treat. Oh, whoops. I don't know how I did that. Lucette, Is he expecting Lucette thinking to herself, is he expecting a compliment on the puppet? Out loud. Well, I look closely at the puppet's eyes. Lucette. It looks evil? Waltz. Really? I'm glad to hear that. It's going to be the villain in my next show. Thank you for the help, Princess. I'm glad that my mentor approves. Yes! Sorry, I'm just excited every time he references them being childhood friends. She briefly referenced earlier that she used to sew her own puppets and dolls or whatever. No, I think it was specific. She used to sew her own dolls before her mother stopped her from doing that, telling her that that sewing is not for princesses. So she must have taught him that's how to make dolls. That's very sweet. Lucette. Mentor? Waltz doesn't answer. Lucette. That's it? Waltz. Indeed. Lucette, thinking to herself. I only offered an opinion, but he looks so happy. What a weird person. Waltz resumes his sewing in silence. Lucette, thinking to herself. He is very talented to be able to sew such a complicated animal. He has probably been doing this for a long time to be so skilled, possibly even longer than I expect, considering the nature of his curse. Waltz. You look like you've got something on your mind, Princess. Lucette. Well, you have never actually told me how to break your curse. Waltz. Ha, I guess I haven't. Waltz clears his throat as he goes back to his sewing. Waltz. I need to find Tinkerbell and Neverland. Lucette. Silence. Waltz. Oh, right, you don't know the story. Lucette. Mother burned all the fairy tale books in the palace before I could read most of them. Thinking to herself. And nobody would tell me any of the stories. Mother always forbid me from talking about them. Waltz. Peter Pan is the story of a boy who never grows up. He's accompanied by a fairy friend named Tinkerbell, and the two of them live together in Neverland. In my case, Tinkerbell is a key that can open Neverland. Neverland is a box, a family heirloom. My shadow is being kept in Neverland. That shadow is my magic. Once I get it back, my curse will break. Lucette. Magic? Waltz. I'm a witch, Princess. Lucette. Shocked. He says it so nonchalantly, like stating what his job is. Lucette, thinking to herself. He and Delora are the same? I have seen Waltz conjure flowers from thin air before, but I never associated that with the type of magic that witches do. Lucette, out loud. You're a witch? A cursed witch? How is that possible? Waltz. Only the Tenebrarum bearer has the ability to curse another witch. It's why I can only do simple magic nowadays. Yep. Probably Waltz was in the palace because he was being taught magic by Hildir, but then he got too close to Lucette, and Hildir couldn't stand that Lucette being close to anyone but her, because Hildir is messed up. And so she cursed him. And when she cursed him, she also erased all of Lucette's memories. That's my guess. That's my theory. Waltz. If I ever want to cast proper spells again, I'm going to need to find Tinkerbell and Neverland. Lucette. You don't know where Tinkerbell and Neverland are? Waltz. No, I don't. Lucette. Does that mean you're stuck in this form forever? Waltz. Silence. How about a story? I feel annoyance begin to simmer inside of me. Lucette. Why do you do that? You change the subject to purposefully avoid answering me. Huh. To Pao, you wonder if, as an underage witch, Lucette was affected by his curse? How do you mean? Like, do you think, like, the losing her memory of him was just, like, a consequence of the curse rather than something her mother specifically did? I mean, her mother may have made that a condition of the curse, if so. But it can't be that she only forgot him because of the curse, because she has not remembered him in any other route, which means that something would have to unlock her memories separately, because we've definitely seen him break his curse in other routes. Lucette. Right, so anyway, Lucette says, "Why do you do that? You change the subject to purposefully avoid answering me." Waltz. "No, that's not it, Princess. I'm trying to explain, and I think a story is the best way for me to do that." I am silent as Waltz reaches into his box of puppets. He pulls out 2 of them, then motions for me to sit in front of him. He holds out a puppet to me, and I can tell he intends for me to wear it on my hand. My feelings on the subject must show on my face, but Waltz is resolute. Waltz. "Please?" Lucette, thinking to herself. "I do not know what this will achieve, but maybe this way I'll finally get some answers." Out loud. "Fine." Aww, I kinda like that. Waltz takes a deep breath. Waltz. "Once upon a time, there lived a princess who was always alone. She spent most of her time inside her room as her mother, the queen, forbade her from going out. The princess's only company were her dolls. But the princess so badly wanted friends that she would always sneak out of the palace to play with the children who lived in town." Lucette, shocked, thinking to herself, "It's as if he is narrating my childhood." Lucette, out loud. "How do you—" But Waltz continues speaking as if he does not hear me. Waltz. "One day, the princess met a boy. The boy was a few years older than her, and he was the queen's faithful servant. The boy could see how lonely the princess was, and his heart ached for her. They became friends. Every day he would sneak into her room and would play with her. They spent 2 years like that. Until the queen found out." Alright, sorry, I'm just very excited that this is confirming 100% that my theory was 100% correct. That they were close childhood friends until her mother found out and ruined everything. Waltz. "The boy was sent away, and he never saw the princess again. Until a short while ago." I stumble back, and the puppet slides off my hand as I stare at Waltz, my mind whirling. Waltz. "We've known each other for a long time, Princess." Lucette, thinking to herself. "This cannot be true." Waltz looks at me again, his expression full of melancholy. I always see that look. He wears it even when he is happy. He seems to carry that sadness with him wherever he goes. Waltz. "We were friends." Lucette. "I never had any friends. I would have remembered." Waltz. "That's what you remember. Your memories have holes in them, gaps that you can't explain." Lucette. "How do you know that?" Waltz. "Because I was there when the queen ordered that some of your memories be erased." Lucette, shocked, thinking to herself. "Mother? But why?" Out loud. "I don't believe you. I don't believe any of this." Waltz. "I didn't expect you to believe me." Lucette, thinking to herself. "Why is he looking at me like that? He looks like he is in pain. But he cannot be telling the truth." I stand up straight, my hands clenched into fists. Okay, Tapao has an advertisement, but also... Oh my gosh. Waltz and Parfait and Delora, if you had told her about her mother being the Tenebrarum bearer by now, maybe she'd believe Waltz. But for some reason, y'all are very insistent on keeping it from her. And I just... Yeah, I'm just frustrated they haven't told her about her mother yet. And I'm like, I get that they think she'll take it badly at first, but like, at the moment, she has nowhere else to go. And like, I think... Oh, yeah, no, I waited for you. I was just complaining. I was just complaining about Delora and Parfait and Waltz, and I mean, it's not good that she has nowhere else to go. They've got her cornered, but still, like, I don't know what they think will happen if they tell her. Like, there's never going to be a right time to tell her, and I don't understand why they wait so long to tell her about her mother. Like, even if she doesn't believe them at first, like, when she looks back, it all make sense, and that's how it goes every time they tell her. So it's like, I don't think telling her a couple months earlier than they actually do would have made a big difference. And if she had known about her mother, or if she'd at least been told about her mother being the Tenebrarum bearer, then this wouldn't be coming as such a shock that she and Waltz were friends, but then her mother, I mean, quote-unquote, ordered her memories to be erased because he's still avoiding telling her that her mother probably erased her memories her own dang self, because they're still avoiding telling her that her mother's a witch. And I get him not telling her right now, because he's already trying to exposition, he's trying to plot dump their own history that she was made to forget, and that's upsetting by itself. But, yeah, no, he told her the story. She straight doesn't believe him. So. I stand up straight, my hands clenched into fists. Lucette. I am going back to my room. I almost run from the tavern area. I want to read that a little differently. I almost run from the tavern area. Waltz does not try to follow me. I am glad that he told her, right away, right in the first chapter. About them having history, because just him keeping it from her would have gotten wearing. Waltz's words loop persistently in my mind. Waltz. We were friends. I sit on one of the chairs in the reception area, trying to put my thoughts in order. Lucette thinking to herself, there is no way that he was my friend. Karma. Oh, what is this? What a delight to run into the princess at this hour. Though, I must ask, why are you still awake, darling? I jump at the sound of Karma's voice. I turn to look at him. Karma frowns at the expression on my face. Karma. You look like you've seen a ghost. I can only stare at him in response. Karma. Oh my, is my beauty so captivating you find yourself at a loss for words? Lucette. No, I was just thinking. Karma. About how beautiful I am? Lucette thinking to herself. His ego knows no bounds. I roll my eyes and change the subject. Lucette. What are you doing up this late? Karma. A nighttime stroll. I found myself filled with ennui. Lucette. Right. I will go and retire for the night now. Karma. Have a good sleep. It'll be another long day tomorrow. Lucette. You do not have to remind me. Karma. You still have a ways to go before you get used to the commoner's lifestyle. I certainly struggled with it. Lucette thinking to herself. Karma barely works. I only ever see him slack off. Out loud. But wait. Are you a noble, Karma? Karma. Perhaps. Lucette. Perhaps. Karma. Perhaps. Lucette. Silence. Thinking to herself. This is going nowhere. This tavern is full of secretive people. I wonder if this lifestyle has anything to do with his curse. Out loud. Well, I am not planning to get used to the commoner lifestyle. I will break my curse as soon as possible. Karma. Silence. Seems like we both have a long way to go before that happens, Princess. Oh, anyway, to Pao, do you still feel like there was anything you missed? I think you just missed him telling the story of how, in fact, they were childhood friends. Confirmed. And her mother sent him away and had her memories erased, and almost certainly that was also when she cursed him, but he left that part out because he's not telling her that her mother's a witch yet. Okay. Anyway. So another memory where the kids were probably scared off by her mother. Poor Lucette. Girl A.
We don't want to play with you anymore.
Young Lucette.
But why? We're friends, are we not?
Girl B.
Friends? Who said that?
Young Lucette.
You did.
Girl A.
We were friends until you stopped sharing your toys.
Young Lucette.
But that is because you still haven't...
Girl B.
What?
Young Lucette.
You haven't returned the toys I gave you.
Girl A.
Return them? You gave them to us.
Young Lucette.
No, I did not.
Girl B.
Let's go play with our real friends.
Girl A.
Yeah, our real friends aren't selfish.
Oh my god, I hate these two children. I don't know these two children, but I hate them, and they are doing that fake friendship thing where they are the selfish ones who were only friends with her for what she could give them, and then the moment they stop, draining her of her resources, or she stands up, or rather, in this case, she stands up to it, even a little bit, they're like, alright, we're done. And they call her selfish, and that's so upsetting and incorrect. Unless her mother told them to say that. That is always a possibility. But the fact that they haven't returned the toys kind of reads to me like maybe they actually were fake friends. But Johnny, classic Darvo. Yeah. Mother.
I warned you, dearest one. Didn't I tell you? People will only hurt you in the end. That's why I forbade you from playing with those children. I only ever want what's best for you.
Young Lucette.
I am sorry, Mother. I am so sorry.
Mother.
Hush now, dearest one. Mother won't let anyone hurt you anymore.
Or apparently be friends with her at all. Anyway, and that is the end of chapter 3. A lot happened there. But yeah, no, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about Waltz's route. This is fun. This should be a good story. Like I was saying at the end of Fritz's route, Fritz might be my favorite love interest, but his route was definitely not my favorite route. It was very stressful. But I am really it's just the first chapter and I'm already liking Waltz's route, which is a good sign because almost all of the others, I either had to warm up to the character over the first couple chapters, or the storyline itself was stressful, like in Fritz's route. So, I've been looking forward to Waltz's route because I like Waltz out off the bat. The game doesn't have to sell me on him as a love interest that I can be invested in for her. So I'm really excited about this, and I'm pleased that I kept theorizing, childhood friends, and then before the first chapter was even over, or the first chapter of the route was even over, they confirmed it. So thank you everyone, thank you to Pow, and thank you Johnny One Take for hanging out and chatting. I appreciate you both being here. Thank you anyone else who might have been lurking. Thank you anyone who watches the VOD later, and I appreciate you all very, very much. And with that, I will, so I should be back on Friday with, I believe I'll be able to do both my normal Final Fantasy stream and another group stream, hopefully, for Friday night. Hope to see some people then, or here next week for Chapter 4. Hopefully at all of them.